After investing for 10 years, there are 3 lessons that stick out in my mind that I wish somebody would have taught me so I didn't have to learn the hard way. Grab a drink, take a seat, let's talk about it. What's up, y'all? It's Brian, and I have made investing mistakes that seemed so small in the moment, but cumulatively will cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time I'm ready to pull out that money. And these aren't mistakes that are only reserved for people that are investing tons and tons of money. These are mistakes that I made when I was 25. Now, I didn't have much money to invest. I was just getting started, and these mistakes still are going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. So my goal is to help as many people as possible not make the same mistakes that I did, thus ending up with way more money than you would otherwise when you're ready to pull it out. The first mistake, and probably the most consequential, was just starting and sticking to it earlier in life. If I had invested $7,000, if I was able to just max out my IRA at 25. I know that's not easy. $7,000 is a lot of money to come up with, especially when you're 25. But if I was able to do that, $7,000 invested at 25, done every single year, would allow me to withdraw over $300,000 a year in retirement. $7,000 becomes over $300,000 in income. It blows my mind. And it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't have to be $7,000 or you're messing up. $1,000 would become $45K. Scrounging up $2,000 would become $90K. That is a lot of money that we're talking about. And I don't feel like I'm any better off now having spent an extra $2,000 or $3,000 when I was 25. I would still be the same Brian, but if I had saved that money, I would be so much better off later in life. This is the power of compounding interest. Everyone hears how important compounding interest is. It's so great. Even Albert Einstein says it's the 8th wonder of the world, but it is so hard to really internalize that lesson until you experience it for yourself. Most people don't experience the effect until they see what they could have had if they had done something different a long time ago. And that's how I am. I look back at whenever I was 22, 23, and I think, man, if I would have just done something differently then, I would have so much more money now. So the way that works is if I invest $7,000 at 25, when I'm 65, that $7,000 becomes $300K. Then the money that I invested at 26 becomes $300K when I pull it out at 66. The $7,000 that I invest at 27 becomes $300,000 when I pull it out at 67. So as long as I'm investing every year, I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars ready for me when I'm ready to stop working. And I wouldn't really experience that until I'm 65. So that's why it's so hard to internalize the lesson. Best way to demonstrate it is to put yourself in your future self shoes and think, would I really be better off now having spent a few extra $1,000s 40 years ago? And once the past has happened, the only thing that continues to help us is money that we've saved, not money that we've spent in most cases. Now, I did start investing when I was 24. So I did start investing early, but I made mistakes that stopped me from getting the most out of that investment. And of course, I could have always started earlier. It would have been great if I started at 18. I'm really jealous of the people that started investing at 18. I started at 24, and I was too touchy with my investments. I was excited to start investing, probably a little overexcited. And so I wanted to do all the things. I wanted to touch it as much as possible to try to create the best returns for myself. But in the process, I ended up doing more damage than harm. And this is especially damaging to people that are just starting their investing journey. Overall, it's good to be excited to start investing when you're young, but it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because when I was young, I was very inexperienced and I was overly excited about it, wanting to do as much as I could to improve my returns, but I ended up doing too much, actually hurting myself in the long run. Every time I make an extra trade, I am creating a taxable event for myself. If there was a gain, I'm going to get charged taxes, which eats away at my returns. And every time I make a trade, I'm opening myself up to the chance that I'm doing emotional trades instead of logical trades, which is also going to hurt me in the long run. And even though transaction fees are mostly gone, there is still a small cost associated with making many transactions. This gets a little bit technical, but whenever you buy and sell a stock, there is a spread between what you can buy it for and what you can sell it for. So if I buy a stock and sell it immediately, I'm going to be losing a few cents. Like for instance, I can look at Google right now. The buy price right now for Google is $194.04. But if I wanted to sell it, I could only sell it for $193.99. Now there's a 5 cent spread right there, which means if I were to buy, sell, I'd lose 5 cents every time. Those kind of things do add up over the long haul. On top of being super gung-ho about investing, I was also doing it in the wrong accounts for the wrong reasons. So I started by opening up a Robinhood. Everybody was doing Robinhood 10 years ago. It's very user-friendly. It has 0 transaction fees. It was one of the few back then that did. So it was the natural place for beginners to want to go. However, if I'm focused on retirement investing, which is where I'm investing for 40 years, if I want to turn 7K into 300K, then I need to be investing for long periods of time, which means I need to be doing it in an IRA, not a regular brokerage account on Robinhood. All of those transactions, the tax hits, that would have been limited if I would have just had it in an IRA. Now, being in an IRA, yes, I'm not gonna get hit on tax every time I make a transaction. I still don't wanna make tons of transactions. I wanna buy and hold. Warren Buffett is famous for saying that the stock market, and this is a rough quote, it's a machine that transfers money from impatient people to patient people. Buying and holding without making emotional trades when you're scared, when the stock market goes way up and you think, oh my God, I've gotta sell and lock in these gains, or when the stock market goes down and you're afraid that it's going to keep going down, so you want to pull it out. Just continually buying diversified index funds at set intervals for 40 years is a guaranteed recipe to do well in the stock market. Also, having my money in a brokerage account that's easy to get at. I could easily sell my stock and then pull money out of my Robinhood and put it into my checking account. Just another layer of security. If I have had security from myself, if I put that money in an IRA, it just makes it that much more difficult for me to make a bad decision and pull that money out when I don't really need to. There were lots of instances when I was 25, 26, where I had really good returns on a stock. So I go ahead and sell it. And I wanted to treat myself to a trip that year. So I would sell some stock and take a trip. And yeah, those are fun memories, but there's lots of spending that I did when I was 25, 26, 27 that doesn't add anything to my happiness today. But if I would have saved that money, then it could add tremendously to my happiness in 20 more years, in 30 years, when it becomes hundreds of thousands of dollars. In short, making too many trades costed me money because I was prone to making emotional trades. I got greater tax hits and I suffered small losses here and there from transaction costs. And the third mistake fed into this, which is I didn't truly understand risk. You know, when you think of risk, you think, oh, the stock market could crash. If I look back to 2008, it could crash and it could go down 50%. Okay, so I know that can happen. I'm prepared for it. But what risk truly is, it's the things that you don't see coming. It's the things that you're not prepared for. These are the events that cause you to sell your stock before you're ready or take big losses before you're ready. For me, I was very active. I found a special purpose acquisition company. So this kind of a more technical type of trade. It's not just investing in a typical company. I did my research. I thought, oh, this is great. It's run by Bill Ackman. He wants to take Universal Music Group public. Did my research on Universal Music Group. Felt like I knew everything that could happen. And I put too much money into this one trade. And then Bill Ackman got hit by a lawsuit, which stuffed up the acquisition. And then the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, shut it down because they said it wasn't in line with what the purpose of a special purpose acquisition company is. So all these regulatory things happen. I didn't even conceive that they could be an issue. I'm just looking at, here's the pool of money that he's using to buy a great company. And I'm thinking, oh, it's guaranteed. It's going to happen. And then the deal falls through and I lose money because I didn't understand that risk is always out there. There's always something that you don't foresee happening that could happen. Now, I'm not Doctor Strange. I can't see 1,000 different iterations of what the future could hold. There's always something that could happen. And so it really drilled into my mind the importance of diversification, to not put all my eggs in one basket because I can never see all the possibilities. I want to spread my holdings into many different securities that are not all tied to each other. So if one goes down, they all go down. That is the power of diversification. After 10 years of investing, I am diversified. I am limiting the amount that I am buying and selling stocks, and I am investing in an IRA. Now, if I went back 10 years and I was wise enough to invest in an IRA, I still probably would have chose the wrong one. Now, there's like 3 different kinds. You've got your Roth IRA, your traditional IRA, and you've got your post-tax IRA. So Knowing which one to select is another important decision. I spent a lot of time figuring out how to determine for my situation, because knowing for you, it is going to depend on how you think you're going to be in retirement, how much money you're making now. So there are important considerations. If you want to learn how to know which IRA is best for you, check out this video right here. Until next time, cheers.